Okay, Kenny Jameson here again. If you watched my first video on my fiasco in Warren, Ohio, then this one here will make more sense to you because you're probably thinking, why in nations didn't that man hire an attorney to take care of this for him? Well, I did. I hired an attorney. I shopped many attorneys in Warren thinking that they would know the prosecutors, they would work this out for me. I ended up in Youngstown talking to Mark Hanai. Well, Mark Hanai runs an office in Youngstown, excuse me, and one of his attorneys that he just had rented office space to had just been working for the state attorney general in the eminent domain department. So it seemed like a perfect fit. Jan Moskoff's his name. So I was like, great, Mark. I had told Attorney Hanai about this 2 years prior when I was getting my permits revoked and the FBI controversy about getting the water turned on and all that. Thought maybe let it play out and I would win, and I got squashed. So anyways, it's June of 2010, and I get an appointment with this guy and tell him my story, and he's wanting to make another appointment. It's like, all right. He said, yeah, I want you to tell this attorney the story, and I want to sit here and just overhear it and let that attorney ask you questions. He didn't want me to talk directly to him. So I told the other attorney the story, and those two conferred, and the other attorney told him what a good case he had, and he should get this filed, and he helped him with what constitutional amendments they had rejected or they had infringed upon my rights, and to go after certain city departments, the health department and community development, and because the community development was the one that dispersed the federal grant money, and the health department was the one that authorized the breaking and entering into my property, which they actually put in writing. I have the police reports and everything. So it took till Thanksgiving time, November, for this guy to get it filed. Oh, he wanted $1,500 retainer, just some lunch money per se, a little travel money, and he would recover any hourly money that he had upon winning the case. It was like half retainer, half where he was going to get it at the end, a consignment type deal. So I was like, that sounds fair to me, and I'll get my $1,500 back first off the top. When he gets awarded $10,000 or $20,000 in legal fees, depending on how long it takes and whatever, you know. First of all, he's got to write them a demand letter, and they'll probably just pay for the properties because it's state law that they can't seize or confiscate your properties. You've done nothing wrong, nothing illegal. The only way the government can seize your property is if it's criminal activity, and I broke no laws other than the property being vacant. Well, my permits got revoked, but I had to pay a $2,500 fine plus another $1,000 in fees on top of that on my birthday. You probably caught that in the previous video. I tend to bring people up to speed in my new video. So anyways, I give the guy the $1,500 in June. It takes him to November to get it filed. Within 2 weeks, I told him, I don't know how we're going to get along in Trumbull County. Warren is the city seat. You know, can we get a change of venue? He thought it'd be all right. The judges don't care about the city employees. They'll be fair and biased. And we got to sign Judge McKay, in which in years past, Judge McKay was always a pretty straight shooter. I'd followed some of his cases. He made the newspaper and stuff, and he wasn't too harsh. But on the same token, he seemed to get to the bottom of complaints in years past. More current, that's a whole nother issue. He's not that good when it came to not child pornography, sex slaves of foreign girls in the city. The state come in and helped, busted them, shut them down. Nobody got prosecuted. It was like, whoa, what's going on here? Well, some of the people that were visiting the massage parlor didn't want their name in the paper, and la-di-da-di-da. They must have been friends or people in high places, and that whole case got dismissed. They plea bargained it out. Jeez, nobody got prosecuted. The state attorney general sent someone in, and since then they've arrested 90 heroin guys in one day, drug dealers in Warren. The state attorney general has to come in to help. But anyways, back to my case. Little foundation there. They bump it up to federal court quick. The city hired attorneys out of Cleveland, attorneys that handle keys at the building or at the community development, not community redevelopment, community development. And another attorney, Clymer, to handle Pintai and Angelo, the guys at the health department, which they really believe that the health department, the board of health, has the authority of a court. It's a executive decision, and it says it right here on the internet under Ohio state law that they must acquisition your property, and that to condemn a property and legally seize it, you have to have a judge or a clerk of courts sign that with the property owner. He has to rescind. I don't like that word. To the government and give up his property. If he wants to donate it, that's okay. If he wants to stand his ground, eminent domain, there's a process. This wasn't eminent domain because they don't really want the land. They just want to remove my houses from the land. So that's called acquisition, and you can voluntarily do that or involuntary. Involuntary, you get to negotiate the price. I want to do it voluntary. Let's just use the auditor's price or my sale purchase, which is my buy purchase, which was on the internet under the county auditor's website. Jameson under the county auditor's website, or 845 Styles in Warren, Ohio. You can see right there what kind of mess I'm in with the county devaluing it now, but leaving my property taxes at the higher rate. I'm having a property tax problem now 5 years later, you can imagine, which is good. That's why I grandstanded this, to get it into county court, which is state court, and maybe they'll honor state law instead of city law. City ordinances can be anything. State law is pretty cut, and it's right there. It's pretty plain, basic, simple English, and it should be enforced in every 88 counties in the state of Ohio. So they bumped it to federal court. We had real quick in February 16th of 11. It might have been 10 still. I might be off by years. This has been going on for 3 years. That's 30. This is 13. All right. We had a telephone conference from my lawyer's office. We all bridged in and talked to the federal magistrate to see if we could do a settlement conference on this. That magistrate tore those lawyers up. Me and my lawyer were jazzed when we hung up. He wanted the city's insurance companies involved. This was intolerable. I recorded it. It's a great. Me and my lawyer were excited. But 10 minutes before we got on the phone call, my lawyer throws a tantrum and he needs another $1,000. I'm like, what? He didn't know it was going to go up to federal court, and he's running into expenses. His rent's due, his car payment's due, his house payment's due. He's failing in society, and it's wintertime, and his gas bill's due. And I mean, this guy, he like livid on me that he wasn't going to do this federal thing without another $1,000 right now. Wow, we thought we agreed to $1,500. You're going to collect at the end. Well, that was when it was staying in county court. It went to federal court, blah, blah. It's like, all right, relax. I got my pocket, give me $500 cash right that second. I wanted to have this federal hearing. I thought at the federal level it was going to be to my advantage immensely. They would honor the U.S. Constitution about the breaking and entering into my property, for one, and the illegal seizure of my property, for two. And the federal magistrate was going to do that. Well, lo and behold, after that, I guess from the records at the federal court, which me and my wife went to Cleveland, knocked on the door and asked for the records of anything that's happened on my case, we find out that the attorneys met in Cleveland without me. A couple of weeks later, he goes and files a motion to withdraw in March. Just give this guy another $1,000. They have to hear that within 6 weeks. So we're up there, April 1st, April Fool's Day. I don't know, it was right there in April. And the federal magistrate denied my lawyer his motion to withdraw. He was 2 hours late. He went to Akron instead of Cleveland, come in with a wrinkled suit, all goofy. The guy was really distraught, and his mom was in the hospital dying at the time. And I did have empathy for him, but at the same token, they're stealing my house. If you can't handle it, let's give me my money back, I'll get another attorney. You know, if you're that distraught, it turns out that incompetent, strong words, just give him a, oh no, he'd done paperwork, he's sticking this out like he does. Forget this ever happened, he said. You know, he left out of there all flustered. Well, from that time on, he had the job, but nothing said he had to do a good job. We had several, they did interrogatories on me. I answered all the questions, me and my wife. They took us up to Solon, to their one office up there, a really nice office, by God, I tell you what. And did depositions on us for 8 hours. My lawyer never objected one time. Kept telling me I was going to lose. He jumped over the fence. He never objected one time in 8 hours. You could object. They put in evidence without a signature and a date on it. I objected to that. They got all mad at me. They just answered the damn questions. I got a copy of the 8 hours. That was pretty cool. They had to give it to me. That was $900. But under discovery, if I was patient, they had to give it to me. That was interesting reading. It was hot that day. July up there. It took a year at the magistrate's office. We couldn't come to a conclusion. The city of Warren wanted to lift the condemnation order. They wanted to give me 6 months to bring those up to code. And it's like, they've been vandalized, everything else. How about my lost rents? I had some other issues, and they weren't paying that, Luddy. No, you just got to get it up to code. And it's like it was up to code 6 months ago, 8 months ago. But now it's been vandalized. They stole my kitchen sink, and the asbestos inspectors tore up my doors with wedges. They won't replace my doors. I mean, you want me to fix the damage that the city caused to my property. So it went to the federal judge. 9 months later, she ruled against me that they hadn't torn my house down yet. In the meantime, my lawyer is sitting on his hands. Sitting on his hands. He calls me and wants more money. I said, no, Jan Moskoff, no, I can't give you more money. You'll try to withdraw again. Oh, he wrote me an email and told me to rot in hell. I was a cheap SOB. My wife had the money to pay him. I wasn't going to pay him. I'll read it to you here on my next video. Bizarre. I had to file a motion. He wouldn't do even interrogatories on these people. Wouldn't ask them any questions getting prepared for the trial. Oh, the federal judge bumped it back to Trumbull County. He wouldn't do any of the work. He wouldn't do, so I had to dismiss him because he told me to rot in hell and called me a cheap SOB, and I didn't appreciate that. My mother, that's not nice. I did the interrogatories. They refused to answer any of the questions. They put their name and date on it, and I used the same questions that they'd asked me in the previous year. They wouldn't answer them. The judge turns around, finds a ruling that they are exempt from prosecution. Now, why'd that take 2.5 years? If they were exempt from prosecution, why didn't the federal magistrate and the federal judge for the year and 9 months previous to that, why didn't they come up with that? Kenny Jameson, totally distraught over this. I'm not distraught over this. This hasn't affected my life in one way or another. My time's up. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.